Oh my gosh, it went live. Hey, hi, Linda K. Gifford here. I am a life coach and I am also the survivor of 7 years of childhood sexual grooming into assault. Um, and I work with those who have CPTSD or complex PTSD, like myself. Um, we're doing lessons in trigger management. And we're getting a late start here today because my lawn crew, who usually comes at 8 in the morning, came today at 2:30 on the money, which is when I start. So I made a new logo in the meantime. I finished the Sweet Survivor logo. So I'm pretty excited. The second one. There are multiple merchandising opportunities that are all going to be released at our Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund launch, official launch, on September 4th. At the Healing Arts Festival, and the subscription, you can already subscribe monthly for the price of a cup of coffee, as they say, or your rent, whatever you choose, at sweetsurvivor.com, which right now is routed to my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. 4 years in business as a retailer, ethical retailer of 100% certified fair trade products that I buy from women, artists, and entrepreneurs all over the world in cooperation with others like me in this country. And we warehouse in America and we ship in 2 to 5 days like Amazon. So that out of the way, I'm going to get in trouble today. But I get in trouble with somebody every day, I suppose. That's okay. Because educating and advocating is the E in spades. Spades is my trigger management guide. I have a book near completion called Self Talk My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault, which is kind of what led to all this. And then I got COVID, and then my son asked what I'd do if I was going to, only had 2 weeks to live. And I said I'd get Sweet Survivor off the ground. So I did it in 3 days, and then almost died of COVID, but survived. That was last November. Still having issues. I will be gone tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be here Thursday. I want to just say if I'm not here Thursday, I might just have um, a colonoscopy tomorrow, but do what you need to do. Evidently, COVID gave me Crohn's disease or something mimicking it. And they're trying to get to the bottom of it, so to speak. And to get to the bottom of it, you know where they have to start. Yeah. So, fun. Hopefully, I'll be back Thursday. And won't tell you any more about it than that because I'm going to sleep right through it. So, Governor Cuomo resigned today. And this week, I said we are working on the S, the final S in spades. But it's also the A. It's also the A in spades. Ask for what you want, don't just take what's given. Very, very tied together with the S at the end of spades, which is spirit. So S, to refresh you, the shame is not yours. P, separate the past from the present. A, ask for what you want. Don't just take what's given in life or anywhere else. Not in the boardroom, not in the bedroom. D, don't wait to feel okay to be okay. Nobody's normal. You are what you are. Get that crap outside of yourself. Examine your place in society and your history of trauma in the world. And the way to deal with it is to make it literary, is to see how it fits and to move on to the next step, which is E, educate and advocate. Because when you're busy educating and advocating for people who have been in the kind of traumatic situation you've been in, you will be bringing it outside of yourself, and it will be a constant reminder that you were the victim in this. But what is the most important thing to me is that while you realize you were victimized, that you associate yourself with survivors, that you are a survivor. Because survivors are people who can put it into historical context, even with our own lives, and accept the fact that it's logical that we would have trauma. It's logical that we would have PTSD. It's logical that your brain didn't figure out how to store these memories properly and instead produces traumatic experiences that take over your present, especially when we have sex. That's when it loves to do it. But for me, what led to my book was a full-on blackout over a newscast. And, my friend at the time who was there in the home, I attacked indiscriminately tried to, cried for 2 hours on my patio without drugs or alcohol. Don't remember it. Um, Beat him up. This blackout was a full on, uh, beyond PTSD, the PTSD that I experienced, and I actually videotaped that. It's the first thing I really put out here on live. I was crying, and I was like, what the hell? What the hell when they don't give rapist sentences, when they say a guy doesn't have to go to prison because he's only raped one girl, one 14-year-old black girl that he was the bus driver and she was on the bus. White 26-year-old rapes a little black girl, but it just only has one victim, so he just gets to like supervise, like he can't be around kids for a while. I'm like, are you kidding me? I believe in the death penalty for rapists. Death penalty, first time. Absolutely. That's not where we're going today. I just want to say that. I want to get that all up front because this may surprise you where I'm going with this. I also don't think Governor Cuomo is a monster. And I take issue with, kind of pisses me off to tell you the truth, having been raped repeatedly for years of my adolescence and teenage years and groomed for years before that into accepting that instead of fighting back or all the stuff we talk about. Go back through my live streams. There's like 40 of them now, 50, I don't know. But when people, I have carefully looked through what these women are saying, and I am not discounting their experience, and I am not giving Governor Cuomo a pass. I am saying I accept when he said there are cultural and generational, what did he say? I think he said shifts. I even wrote it down. There are cultural and generational shifts I should have been aware of, and I wasn't, and I'm sorry. Okay, what do we want? What do we want from the men in our lives, especially the older men who have lived a life? And I'm not standing up for them. I'm saying, yes, they repressed us. They put us in a position where we didn't think we could fight back or talk back, where we accepted the touching and the flirting, and we didn't like it, and it pissed us off, but we didn't say anything. And that's why today I decided to back up and go back to the lesson in ask for what you want. Because we were supposed to be moving on to S today, to spirit, to shame and spirit, the two S's, the top and the bottom of my acronym or my trigger management guide. But today we're going back to ask for what you want. Because, again, precurse this with accepting the fact that the dominance of the patriarchy for millennia, countless millennia, factors in, and we expect a modern, reasoned society to be able to understand what we're telling them. We don't like that. There's a middle ground of giving them a chance to say, I didn't get it, but I'm trying to, or I do now, or, basically, have you heard the concept? Because my kids didn't. Maybe I'm just that old. I don't think I'm that old. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are many men in my life, my own age and older, who say things that I do not like. And you know what I do now that I didn't used to do? I tell them that is inappropriate, and here is why. I educate them, and I advocate for myself and for women and others and everyone. Just human rights, just decency, the baseline of decency in the world. That's what I advocate for. While the focus tends to be women, I also work with men. Lots of men have been victimized. Lots of men, even adult men too, have been raped and do not talk about it. And I have been studying this lately. And it's like, you guys, this isn't a gender specific thing. This is, we have accepted levels of touch, and then we've been ashamed when we are violated ourselves and born guilt and shame that was not ours. And these things are perpetuated by the language of society. So the language of society must change. So part of asking for what you want is advocating for the language of society to change. Just today, I watched a woman advocating for the women accusing Governor Cuomo, saying, not accusing, but they were uncomfortable. And he said, I realize you're uncomfortable now, but I didn't at the time. And I'm sorry. I'm saying, can we accept an apology when there was no real, like, was no one said that their job was on the line. No one said that their job was contingent upon taking, uh, like, having sex or doing something or letting him smack their ass or run his finger along their neck or the things he did. And I don't like it either. I hate it intensely, especially as a sexual assault survivor. I hate being touched by people that I did not invite to touch me. I used to be married to like a guy that was in a Grateful Dead band. Everybody wants to hug, and I'm like, I'm not a hugger. I'm a hugger with my people, but I'm not a hugger in general. And so these things, I'm saying, I get the creepy crawly ooh, and I also understand why we didn't speak up, why we're fear for our jobs, fear for this. So in no way, again, am I disparaging anybody who is saying that they were felt uncomfortable based on what Governor Cuomo did. I'm just saying that I feel that I am relatively empathic and understanding, and I've read their stories, and what I'm hearing is the uh, gross in conduct, definitely, but at the same level that a lot of people I care about do it, that I have argued with, that I'm not going to completely ruin their life and their career, cut them out of my world. Instead, when I talk to them, they go, like Governor Cuomo did, I didn't get it. I'm getting it now. I'm trying to. I guess where I'm going with this is, what more can we ask? So if joining in the witch hunt gets you on the news, um, witch hunt isn't the right word. If joining in the melee of, yeah, okay, we get it. We get it. Governor Cuomo, like a lot of people, like our president, used to be a hair sniffer, didn't think anything of touching someone. Guys walk up to me, put their hand on my elbow while they talk to me, or put their hand around your waist. Someone you just met. This shit happens all the time, and I hate it, and I want it to stop. So I'm asking you to educate and advocate, but maybe stop short of ruining careers if the person says, I am sorry and trying to change. That doesn't mean go seek reparations or do what you need to do. That means that's where I'm at. And so, kind of what I said at the beginning is, it pisses me off, frankly, when people who, they're like, well, it was a crime, it was a crime that he patted my ass. I'm like, I get that. But the same people won't go out and thoroughly advocate or make an issue out of people like me who were raped and raped and raped repeatedly. Um, it's hard for me to look at somebody who patted you on the ass or ran his finger down your neck in the same way that I look at somebody that eyed a little girl and thought, yeah, she needs to suck my dick, and then I'm going to like have my friend. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to say. Someone said that what kind of low lives, you wouldn't believe the messages I get. What kind of low lives do you hang out with? Okay, the guy that raped and sodomized me when I was 14 years old, who beat my abuser to me, but opened the door, figuratively and literally, for my abuser to do the same, was a medical student. He was a high ranking med student. These guys were a dozen years older than me. And so the person, all I know is his first name was Brent, and I wish I knew more. His name was Brent, and he was a med student. And if I could ruin him, I would, because he raped and sodomized me as a 14-year-old girl. Okay, so yes, I'm a huge advocate, but I just feel, and I know, like I said, I'm going to get blowback, but I feel that so many people, you're diluting the Me Too movement if you're jumping on saying somebody treated you the way that most men treat most women that we have accepted for a very long time. Even though, as I precursed before, there are good reasons why we thought we had to, and we need to stop that and change it. I believe educating and advocating is a better route than alienating every man in your life who gets it wrong. And it's obviously time anybody younger, my age or younger, should be getting it by now. Right. I'm talking about the middle-aged old fogies in your lives that like have They're clueless. They're clueless. They don't even keep up with any of this stuff. They don't understand how we feel. My old investor in this business used to tell people, we would go to restaurants. Now he's like 88 years old. And he like flirts with waitresses, and flirts with young women about taking them home, and you know, and it hints at how big his stick is and stuff. I didn't know that when I, decided to accept the money to have him be an investor, but I also liked him, and he was very helpful in starting this business. And he had 10, he's Catholic, 10 daughters and 4 sons himself. So while he's a huge advocate in his mind for women, he also didn't, he had a disconnect with his own behavior. And yes, it needs to stop. Educate and advocate. But maybe don't hang them. Maybe don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe distinguish between the dirtiness that they're washing off and trying to change their life and the ones who are just fucking assholes who ought to be killed because they raped somebody. But that's a whole nother live stream that, you know what? I can't even do these. Last week, everything I've done, the last 3 live streams have been banned from Facebook advertising, from boosting them. Because I said, I do not accept your culture. If your culture, that was like the headline. It's like, if your culture starts at the point that a woman does not have a choice who she marries or what she does with her body, or doesn't even know that orgasms are a thing. I've talked all about this. Go back to my other live streams. Don't have time today. But it's like, no, I can't respect your culture when the human rights of women and others, when the human rights of women are, women are made submissive and others are non-existent. That's their goal. They want to make women submissive and others non-existent. And no, I do not accept that. And I doubled down, and I have gone through hoops to try to get Facebook to realize that I am just advocating for women here. If I was talking about drinking the blood of children or something like that, I could probably get that post through. But advocating for women and talking straight up like about orgasms and how they are a thing and important, and if you're not having them, you really ought to reevaluate and see if you made a deal instead of falling into a physical mental bond with someone, which is such a beautiful thing that I want to add that to my double down today, because that's something I chronically get, is that I'm such a whore. I'm like, I have one partner, I am so I would never step outside of that relationship, and I'm so thrilled, because back to the top of this whole live stream, because I am selfish as hell. I put myself first, and I give freely to one who likes the self that I put out there. And for most of my life, I have tried to be what somebody else wanted me to be, and I didn't even think about that. So 3 failed marriages in, and 1 really intensely good relationship later, continuing. I'm like, wow, to think how most of the women in the world don't even value themselves as a sexual being, that value their own sexual experience. They see themselves as somebody to be given, traded, bartered, to save themselves for somebody they are given to by their father or their, religion. They just, it's just, I'm back on my, go to Sunday school. Go to my Deeper Dive Sunday School. We'll talk more about that. But today, the lesson is use your words. So women, when we see pictures of you smiling, Governor Cuomo's arm around you or whatever, you're like, we all need, and I'm not down on people for not doing it before, but we have the opportunity now. The Me Too movement and these doorways are opening for us now to say, I don't like that when you talk to me that way, and make it an educational thing, maybe instead of getting them fired immediately. And if they don't get it and they don't try to change, then get them fired, definitely. But how about, hey, that makes me uncomfortable first? How about, I didn't like that? How about give them like I said, a learning curve, but make it a 180. Make the learning curve a 180. because we're not giving you a lot of time. You are educated adults now in an educated adult society. We say we don't like to be talked to that way, touched that way. Get it out of your head. Boom. That's enough. So give them a chance to be sorry and change. And if they don't, nail their ass. 100%. Nail their ass 100%. So, is there anything else today that we really need to talk about? Um, I want to note that the sexual assault hotline is on here, and it came up in a question with someone. So I just wanted to clarify that sexual assault hotline, that's not taking you to some national center. It's going to take the first 6 numbers of your phone number and it's going to peg your zip code from them. And it's going to hook you up with the closest person to your zip code who has a resource list, who will talk to you about your immediate or long ongoing needs and set you up with resources. And as always, I would love to talk. Right now, I'm taking half an hour free appointments for not so much coaching, although that always ends up, I'm going to talk because I do that. But I want to hear your story. I want to hear your challenges as a sexual abuse survivor or a support personnel or therapist or thereof for somebody with CPTSD. As I finalize my book, I am putting together that final section of other people's experiences. And again, it just adds to my knowledge of how we're feeling. And it seems like we all have the same challenges for the most part, even those who weren't sexually assaulted, but those who were neglected or emotionally or had food deprivation, insecurity, or even those who suffer from survivor guilt. So I'd like to talk with you. Please, my appointment calendar on my Facebook page. You can connect with me there. Just message me and we'll set something up. We can do it face to face on a Zoom, or iPhone, or Messenger. Works on any phone, any smartphone, whatever you want to do. We'll work it out. I'd like to hear your experience. It needs to be soon because we are close to going to print, and I'm just wrapping it up. Continuing adding right to the very end. And How to Get from Trigger to Happy will be out on September 4th. It has an actual launch date now. We're going to launch it at the Healing Arts Festival. Please go to sweetsurvivor.com and subscribe, please. $5, $5 a month. Let me buy tickets and get people out of trouble and get them places that can help them. Okay? Help us grow a national network to rescue those who are being trafficked or assaulted right now. Linda K. Gifford, sexual assault survivor, great life, owner of feelgoodfairtrade.com, founder of Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, rocking it, helping you rock it too. Take care. And I'll see you Thursday, hopefully at 2:30. We'll see. They only cut the grass once a week.